I caught my family selling my house on a smart fridge, so I audited their lives and took the millions. I froze the sale at closing, seized our family shells, and vacuumed every stolen dollar because my smart fridge snitched with the MLS pics they staged in my kitchen, in my house. While I was out of town, buckle up and breathe through your nose because my fridge is about to outwit my entire bloodline. Here's the stakes in one line: my house, my inheritance, and the 7 figures my golden child sister tried to launder with a Pinterest mood board. We're talking IP logs, printer Freckles, and a group chat meltdown that smelled like burnt entitlement. Promise you a payoff: public retribution, bank reversals, courtroom cardio, and karma with interest. Served by a man and his extremely judgmental refrigerator. The fridge started the gossip. The router wrote the receipts. And the thermostat? She judged them and saved me 12 cents. This is a heist movie where the appliances are the heroes and my relatives are the extras. The lie we lived. Grandma's will was simple: house to me, family splits the rest. Simple like a sidewalk chalk drawing. My sister Chloe, the golden headache, heard house to me and translated it as house to the person with the best ring light. Mom, Aunt Valerie, Cousin Nick, professional boundary jumpers. These people consider borrowed forever a love language. They offered to help with probate while I was busy with work. Translation: we'll drive your car, you pay gas, don't ask about the dents. I shrugged at red flags like they were decorative napkins. Spare keys, lost. A realtor friend who called me buddy in the tone you use for a labradoodle. Pop quizzes about my alarm code like it's Wordle. What's today's pattern? Any vowels? I laughed. They wrote it down. Meanwhile, I'm the tech-obsessed black sheep who talks to his house. My friends have therapists. I have devices with opinions. The doorbell is nosy, the router is petty, and the fridge is a tattletale with Bluetooth. My house has more integrity than our family chat. I made the classic mistake. I trusted we're family more than we're auditable. And then the fridge pinged me like a tattletale with Wi-Fi. New shared board post, staging schedule, Friday 2 p.m. I didn't schedule vibes or theft. I stared at the screen and said out loud to no one, "We don't stage crimes on my calendar." The fridge did not reply. She just glowed like, "Boy, open the app." I opened the app, and there it was. My countertops, my sink, my coffee mug, with MLS watermarks. Taken in perfect natural light, like my home had been doing Pilates. That was the moment I realized 2 things. 1, my family loves fraud. 2, my appliances love me back. The fridge snitches. The notification said, staging schedule, Friday 2 p.m., which is a cute way to say we're stealing your kitchen. I tapped the shared board. Boom. Gallery view. My island posed like it had a contract. There's a bowl of lemons that did not belong to me. Aunt Valerie brought props. Classic Valerie. Crimes, but make them citrus. Zoom in. MLS watermark. Agent notes visible on the corner. Great light. Modern fixtures. Modern fixtures? That faucet is older than my tax software. And then the file info hits me. Embedded metadata. Listing ID. Timestamp. Upload device. Valerie's iPhone. Of course she named it that. If she robbed a bank, she'd sign the vault. I checked the family calendar. Last Friday, Chloe had weekend family dinner blocked off. Interesting. Because in the fridge album, family dinner shapeshifted into open house. Ah yes, the rare potluck where everyone brings fraud. I scroll. More photos. Someone edited the to-do list on the fridge into a staging checklist. Hide mail. Move game console. Take down frame diploma. Rude. I worked for that degree. Also, you missed the Wi-Fi cameras, which is my diploma now. Internal monologue kicks in. My fridge is basically TMZ with magnets. She dug deeper than my ex. If the fridge is talking, the rest of the house is gossiping too. Alexa, spill the tea. Respectfully, Alexa whispers back. There are 3 reminders set by Aunt Valerie for showings. I didn't set those. The thermostat shows a sudden flip from away to eco during certain afternoons. Their phones came over. My house thought I was being green. Even my HVAC tried to help. I opened the photo details again and noticed agent notes referencing pre-listing photographer return for the wide angles. Great. So they used a second lens to capture the first crime. I airdrop every picture to myself because evidence likes redundancy. Then I hit the router app. Because if the fridge is the gossip columnist, the router is the archivist with a grudge. But first, the comedy break. I text the group chat. What's for dinner Friday? Silence. Then Mom, we'll let you know. Chloe, surprise menu. Me, is it escrow? Because I'm allergic. Aunt Valerie reacts with a thumbs up she thinks is subtle. Cousin Nick changes the subject to, anyone need throw pillows? Yeah, Nick, bury the lead in chenille. Back to the fridge. I open the shared grocery list. Someone added fresh bread, white orchids, lemon bowl. The same orchids are in my sink photo, like they live there. These people curated theft like a wedding. The fridge timeline shows photos posted right after the door opened using the code labeled Mom. That's cute. Nothing says love like breaking and entering with the name Mom. I go to my desk, crack my knuckles like a budget Batman, and open the EXIF extractor. I pull the GPS coordinates baked into the images. Surprise, my address. Timestamps line up with the family dinner block. Upload trail points to Aunt Valerie's cellular plan, which, by the way, still has a free Disney Plus for 1 year sticker. Queen of subtlety. I take a breath, sip my coffee that is now Exhibit A, and decide the audit starts now. The fridge did her part. She pointed, she flagged, she served looks. I pat the stainless like a dog. Good girl. She dings. Somewhere, Chloe is tilting a ring light, thinking she's the first person to invent staging. Meanwhile, my kitchen is posting her L's in 4K. This is where the fun begins. Router logs, smart lock history, doorbell timeline, thermostat geofencing. My house is a petty librarian and keeps every overdue secret. And I'm the guy who returns nothing, scans everything, and finds you with interest. Mapping the house. Digital Forensics 101. Step 1. I open the router app like I'm cracking a safe. Guest network quiet. Main network, not quiet. Unknown Macs loitering like teens behind a strip mall. Repeat logins. Val MBP, Nick iPad, and something named Realtor Hotspot that might as well be Arrest Me Now. My Wi-Fi knows the suspects by name. It's petty like that. I tap device history. Spikes on Friday at 1:47 p.m., 2:13 p.m., 3:01 p.m., right when family dinner became open house. Every ping gives me a timestamp and an internal, oh honey, from my stole. I export the session logs because screenshots are love letters to future court. Smart lock next. I scroll the entry history and nearly choke. 1:12 a.m. entry. Code Mom. Nothing says love like breaking and entering with the name Mom. Then 1:16 p.m., Realtor Lockbox code attempt denied. 1:17 p.m., Mom, again, approved. So Mom didn't just enable crime, she provided tech support. Doorbell cam? I pull up the timeline and there's Aunt Valerie waddling up with a tote full of Stager's Throws, which is code for pillows and audacity. Behind her, Chloe in wide brim hat, sunglasses, and a moral compass set to airplane mode. The realtor flashes a badge like this is Homeland Security for backsplash. I scrub forward. 2 buyers shuffle in, whispering about original hardwoods. Buddy, that's IKEA laminate with an identity crisis, but please keep lying in my favor. Meanwhile, cousin Nick walks past the camera carrying my game console on a staging day. Love that journey for him. Thermostat time. My thermostat does geofencing. She knows when our phones come and go. Friday, she flips from away to eco at 1:09 p.m. Not because of me, because their phones tripped my home bubble like raccoons in couture. She judges them, toggles the fan, saves me 12 cents, and logs their presence with the cold precision of a librarian. I whisper, "Atta girl." She displays 68 degrees Fahrenheit like a trophy. I open Alexa routines. There's a new one called Showings, set by unknown household member. It turns on lights, plays a Jazz Vibes playlist, and tells the Roomba to run for 30 minutes. My vacuum participated in the crime. The Roomba is complicit. Add him to the group chat. Back to the router. I filter for new device fingerprints. One device ran AirDrop as Valerie's iPhone. Another ran a file transfer utility from a MacBook that identifies as Val MBP. Model string gives me a year. OS build matches Aunt's brag at Thanksgiving. I tag both. Correlation tastes like espresso. Now the petty flourish. I cross the door unlock at 1:12 a.m. with a small spike on the router at 1:13 a.m. and the thermostat's nocturnal hiccup at 1:14 a.m. That's a trifecta. Entry, network, climate. The house wrote a haiku about their trespass. I checked the garage opener logs. 1:18 p.m. manual open. Nick's silhouette slides in, carrying a bin labeled towels. Translation, my towels. He looks up into the camera like he's FaceTiming his conscience. No answer. I gather it all. CSV exports, MP4 clips, JPG stills, lock history PDFs. I rename with courtroom safe titles. 01 underscore session underscore logs CSV 02 underscore smart lock entry PIDF 03 underscore doorbell and still underscore 1324. None of this final real.zip nonsense. We're adults. For fun, I ping the network again. A device named Golden Leaf Printer pops up for a second and vanishes. A ghost printer. Cute. That's either a misconfigured AirPrint or a shell company with Wi-Fi. I text the group, hey, quick, did anyone borrow my thermostat? Silence. Then Chloe. Law what? I reply. She says you came over. Read receipts appear, then evaporate like their morals. Final pass. I timeline everything in a single spreadsheet. Columns. Time, device, action, proof. The row at 2:03 p.m. reads, Val MVP pushed images to cloud. Doorbell shows Valerie carrying orchids. Thermostat eco. Router load spike. Under proof, I paste links because judges love links that work. I sit back, sip Exhibit A's last lukewarm sip, and pat the fridge again. You're promoted, I say. She dings like she knew. My house is smarter than my family. Honestly, low bar, but still, my kind of bar. Now I have receipts. Next, I get refunds. The paper trail begins. Printer dots and drafts. I crack open the shared family drive like a piñata full of poor decisions. There it is. Listing packet. PDF. Creator field? Valerie Office Jet. Bless her honest little heart. She named the crime after her printer. If she ever commits a heist, she'll wear a t-shirt that says, Hi, I'm Valerie. I download, duplicate, and tuck one copy somewhere my future lawyer will want to hug. Then I open the PDF properties and start sniffing like a bloodhound who passed CompTIA A+. Fonts embedded. Producer string screams consumer inkjet. Page size screams legal. Smell screams glossy paper bought on sale. Time to pluck the yellow stars. If you don't know, color printers tattoo your pages with microdots. Printer Freckles. I throw the packet under my scanner at stupid high DPI and zoom until the pixels beg for mercy. There. Faint yellow constellations in the margins. I overlay a reference grid I keep for reasons. The spacing matches a popular OfficeJet family. Serial pattern, unique enough to be a fingerprint. Aunt Valerie, your freckles are showing. While my scanner hums, I pop open page 2. Agent notes. Seller prefers quick close via Golden Leaf Holdings. Someone invented a buyer that sounds like a tea company in a yoga studio. I drop the name into the Secretary of State portal, click past 3 pop-ups about filing fees, and boom. Golden Leaf Holdings, LLC. Manager, Nicholas A. Cross. Cousin Nick. Registered agent, Martin Hale. The realtor's cousin. Family tree? Try crime shrub. I keep pulling thread. Golden Leaf's mailing address points to a P.O. box I've paid for every Christmas. From there, filings hop to Cedar Bridge Trust. Sounds sturdy. It's a shoebox in a suit. Cedar Bridge lists a trustee service that specializes in discrete wealth transitions. Translation, we hide your nickels behind a fern. I map it. Elmwell, Cedar Bridge, P.O. Box, my eye twitch. Back to the packet. They added a draft purchase agreement. Buyer, Elmwell Holdings, LLC. Earnest money to be wired upon inspection. Wiring instructions live on an addendum. I touch the addendum like it might bite. Banking info belongs to an account at First River. Account nickname on the form? BP Trust. Ah yes, big problem trust. Now we do chain of custody the petty way. I extract the printer dots from page 1 and page 4. They match. Then I scan the supposed inspection report dated last week, and the dot pattern wobbles. Same grid, slightly different serial slice. 2 devices in play, or 1 with a replaced drum. I write a note for the examiner. Series cluster X42A for packet, X42B for report. Printer Freckles don't lie. People do. Time to confirm the PDF origin. The metadata says it was printed, then scanned, then re-exported by preview on a Mac. Which Mac? The router already met val mbp. I cross-referenced timestamps. Router shows her Mac pushing 92 megs to cloud storage at 3:07 p.m. The PDF creation time is 3:10 p.m. The Venn diagram is a circle shaped like Aunt Valerie. I call the county clerk like I'm ordering pizza. Hypothetically, I ask, if a home is about to be listed without the owner's knowledge, what documents show up first? She says, listing agreements, agency disclosures, and sometimes pre-marked seller net sheets, all with signatures. I say, hypothetically, if those signatures smell like inkjet, she laughs like she's seen some things. Bring pens and proof. Back in the drive, a folder named Photos Final Wide. The photographer got poetic with my hallway. Also, he left behind his watermark and the EXIF, shutter speed, lens, and his business site. I click his site. Recent client reel features, my kitchen. Cute. He tagged cozy modern vibe. Sir, my vibe is unexpected litigation. I open notes on the fridge's shared board from last week. Print 2 sets. Collate. Binder clips. The same to-do reappears in a PDF called Open House Checklist. Footer. Prepared by Valerie OfficeJet. At this point, I expect a page that says crime goes here. Let's visit Elmwell's filings. Their organizer, a document service that rhymes with Zen failing. I order the public packet. Inside, a statement of information has a signature that looks like Nick held a pen with oven mitts. Also, the date format flips between American and European on the same page. My favorite flavor, copy-paste, stew. While the downloads churn, I chase the printer hardware. Aunt Valerie's Instagram has a picture of her Boss Babe office from 6 months ago. Hello. The exact OfficeJet model on a white desk next to a mug that says hustle. I zoom. The serial sticker peaks like a shy turtle. 2 digits are clear. They match my .serial hypothesis. I nearly high-five the air. To tie the bow, I need the draft wire instructions as a separate file. Found. Wires elm.pdf. Producer string, HP scanflow. Dot pattern? Same family. I slap them into my evidence tray, rename like a librarian with rage, and store them off-site. I sit back and talk to the room. Congratulations, team. We've identified the printer, the buyer, the shell, the cousin, the realtor's cousin, and the path to the piggy bank. The fridge hums at a self-satisfied pitch. The router purrs. The thermostat shows 68 like. We working. I text the group chat one line, who is Golden Leaf Holdings and why are they allergic to sunlight? Read, read, read. No reply. Cousin Nick accidentally reacts with a heart, then unreacts, then reacts with a thumbs up like he rebooted in panic mode. I smile. Time to move money in reverse. Bank Recon, structuring, and family reimbursements. I crack open the estate sub-account like a cold case and immediately get a jump scare. ATM withdrawals doing the cha-cha. $9,900, $4,950, $7,800, $9,900 again. They fear God, taxes, and $10,000. The pattern is so loud, my spreadsheet flinches. Timestamps love Friday afternoons and Sunday nights, which is when guilty people and gas stations thrive. Memo lines? Even dumber. Zell out. Staging. Zell out. Cleaner. Zell out. Flowers. Recipients. Not vendors. It's Nick's Venmo handle, @NickBuysSneakers. Ah yes, the florist who also flips Jordans. I click through his public history and find "Got You Bro" with a rose emoji on the exact day flowers posted. My man is laundering tulips with shoe money. Cinderella is screaming. Wire section next. I search for Elmwell and boom. Pre-approval for a bridge loan tied to my address. These clowns used my house as collateral for my house. I put my forehead on the desk and laugh like a broken saxophone. The loan officer note literally says, owner cooperative per family. Which owner, Brenda? The one whose fridge filed a report? Fine. Time to speak bank. I call Fisher in compliance, the calm hero with a coffee eye. Hypothetically, I say, what if a family of raccoons and cardigans is structuring withdrawals under threshold while pushing a shell purchase on a trust account? She sighs, not at me, at the universe. Send logs, memos, and any printer dots you've got. she says. We'll prep a SAR and issue a preservation hold. I email her a zip so tidy the cloud applauds. While that's flying, I chase the reimbursements. There's a check to Aunt Valerie memo. Reim, pre-list photographer. Cute. She Venmo'd the photographer from her personal account, then paid herself back from the estate. Double dip with a lemon twist. Another check to Golden Leaf Holdings with the note, deposit earnest money. I read it thrice like it might change. It does not. They had my checkbook play hostage negotiator with their LLC. I pivot to notifications and add alerts on anything greater than $500 leaving the estate or touching Golden Leaf. My phone turns into a slot machine. Ping, $2,200 cashier's check, stager deposit. Ping, $1,100, deep clean. Ping, $650, candles. For what? A cathedral? I scroll the recipients and it's the same greatest hits. Nick's Venmo, Ant's checking. A prepaid card ending in 4432 that screams Target loyalty points. Fisher emails. Received. Freezing related accounts pending verification. Do not contact the branch. We'll pull logs quietly. She attaches a checklist. Credential audits, kiosk access, backroom cameras, override trails. I grin. We're building a Lego set. The fraud kind. I need collateral receipts for court. I call the photographer pretending to be a chaotic calendar. Hi, I think I booked you but lost the invoice? He beams, bless him. Yeah, Valerie prepaid. Receipt went to her Gmail. Want me to forward? Yes, I say, to the address that looks like a lawyer. He does. It lands with a paid by Valerie and the subject line listing 123, my street thread secured. I searched the bank feed for that prepaid card tail. Found it, loaded from the estate account at a kiosk inside the branch. Timestamp, 4:02 p.m. The lock history shows Aunt leaving my house at 3:52 p.m. Router logs her phone hitting a Starbucks at 3:58, and then, like clockwork, she loads the card. I stitch the times together in my spreadsheet. It reads like a crime poem. House, latte, kiosk, chaos. Ping. Another gem. Nick buys moving blankets at the supply store. Debit from the estate sub-account using the companion card I didn't authorize. Memos are a lullaby. For staging. Buddy, moving blanket stage kidnapping. I dial the credit bureau, pull the inquiry logs for Elmwell. Pre-approval sits right next to a hard pull on a truck lease for Nick. Of course, he went shopping. Fraud makes him hungry. I order the Elmwell deposit records. They show $25,000 incoming labeled estate earnest, then $24,500 immediately out to a Cedar Bridge sweep. Structuring plus skimming, like tapas for prosecutors. Fisher calls. Quick update. We see post-termination access under a legacy profile at your branch. We're preserving video and freezing the shells. I ask, how cold? She says, polar vortex. I whisper, marry me, then apologize to her coffee. Now the fun text. I drop a single line in the family chat. Reminder, structuring is still illegal. 3 dots bounce. Mom, we were consolidating for simplicity. Chloe, literally chill. I reply with a screenshot of the $9, $900 for 950/7 and 800 staircase and add a snowflake. Valerie leaves the chat like that's witness protection. I cue the TRO paperwork with my lawyer. Attach the staircase graph, the Venmo flowers, the Elmwell bridge tie, and the kiosk load. I add captions under each exhibit like a museum docent with spite. Exhibit C4, when the staging florist is a man named Nick in Yeezys. Educational. Final pass? I set the bank alerts to notify plus call and route copies to Fisher and Counsel. Then I lean back, pat the fridge, and tell her the news. Money's coming home, she hums. Thermostat blinks a cozy 68, and the router lets out a satisfied little ping. My house is happy. My family is sweaty. And I've never loved spreadsheets more. Lawyer up. Preservation and freeze. I called my lawyer at a speed that would void warranties. He picked up on ring 1 like he'd been waiting for me to finally act right. I said, short version. My family tried to sell my house using lemons, orchids, and printer freckles. He goes, do you have proof? I said, buddy, I have a museum. He said, bring the museum. I showed up with a laptop, a folder, and the moral support of a judgmental refrigerator. We spread the evidence like a charcuterie board for judges. Router logs, smart lock entries, doorbell stills, printer dot overlays, Bank staircase graph. He stared, blinked twice, and whispered, "My favorite stationery is threatening." That's when I knew we were friends. We hammered out the preservation letter. Tone, polite chainsaw. Dear parties, preserve all devices, accounts, drafts, notes, and one regrettable lemon bowl. Suspend all showings. Secure physical keys and digital access. Confirm receipt. We seed the realtor, Aunt Valerie, cousin Nick, and Chloe, plus 3 email addresses that looked like they were made in a panic at 3 a.m. Cease and desist next. It read, "Stop. Immediately." Lawyer sprinkled legal glitter, tortious interference, conversion, misrepresentation, unlawful access. I added a sticky that said, "and tacky." He took it off, but I could tell he kept it in his heart. Then we drafted the TRO, the judge-friendly version of Freeze the Circus. We stapled my timeline to it, along with annotated photos. Exhibit A1 was Aunt Valerie carrying orchids like a subpoena bouquet. Exhibit A2 was Nick pilfering my game console mid-staging. Lawyer wrote the caption, "Evidence of possession inconsistent with staging," I added, "and vibes." He sighed. He let it stay. Process server time. We aimed for their friends and family open house because irony burns clean. The plan? Server strolls in, grabs a toothpick meatball, hands over court papers like a party favor, then points to me in the doorway, smiling like a tax audit. Lawyer said, "Petty?" I said, "Strategic." He said, "Both." We bumped folders. Before sending, I called Fisher. "Heads up," I said. "Freezing shells in 5. Need the bank to preserve kiosk footage and credential logs." She replied, "Already writing the memo. And I'm adding a footnote. Do not help raccoons in cardigans." I said, "Bless your compliant soul." She said, "Bring muffins when this ends." Done. We fired the emails. My phone buzzed like a beehive in a blender. "Mom, can we talk privately?" "Chloe, you're being dramatic." "Valerie, defamation." "Nick, what's a printer dot?" "Realtor, we're already under contract." Lawyer replied to that one with, "Not anymore." Attached, the signed TRO request, hearing set for tomorrow morning, with an emergency preservation order piggybacking like a toddler on a golden retriever. Then came the locks. Digitally first. I changed admin passwords on the router, revoked all guest tokens, killed unrecognized devices with a click. "Good night, Val MVP," I whispered. The network exhaled. Smart lock, new codes, new names. The code labeled Mom became No. The code labeled Chloe became Try It. The doorbell chime switched to courtroom ambience, because yes, I am that petty. Physically, I rotated keys and tagged them like a museum registrar. Kitchen, garage, do not give to Nick ever. I taped the TRO request to the inside of my front door like a welcome mat for consequences. The house hummed, thermostat purring at 68, a temperature I now call lawyer weather. We rehearsed the ambush. Lawyer played the realtor. I played me because who else could? "We're under contract," he said. I practiced. "Buddy, you're under court." He nodded. Again, I did it again. Slower. Like the judge in my soul needed punctuation. I texted the family chat one line. "Please bring photo ID to the open house tomorrow. It'll make service faster." Nick reacted with a question mark. Chloe sent a skull emoji. Aunt Valerie switched to SMS, like I couldn't screenshot both. At midnight, I did one last sweep. Alerts set. Copies synced offsite. USB labeled like a treasure map. I patted the fridge. "You started this," I said. She dinged like a diva. The router flashed once. The thermostat displayed a tiny leaf and the attitude of an auditor. Morning came loud. Lawyer texted, "Judge granted the temporary freeze pending." Fisher texted, "Preservation orders delivered. Shell accounts locked. Branch notified to retain footage." My doorbell sent a test clip of an empty porch with dramatic lighting. Even my cameras were warming up. I grabbed my folder, my calm, and my petty. Then I headed to their open house, ready to hang a big sign on the crime that read, "Closed." Grandma's backup, the real will in the note. The night before the ambush, I remembered Grandma's sewing kit. Not the cute tin, her real kit. The brick of a box that could fix a tractor or a wedding dress. I pulled it from the hall closet, popped the lid, and there. It was under the thimbles like it had been waiting for my GPA to mature. A tiny brass key taped to a scrap of grocery list. Next to it, Grandma's handwriting. Round, smug, immune to nonsense. Box 143. Bring ID. Don't trust Valerie with postage. So I drove to the bank like a raccoon with a 401k. Fisher met me at the vault like a librarian who can bench press policy. Metal door, humming lights, that soft carpet that feels like secrets. She slid out box 143 and tapped the lid. You opening? Or should I get a drum roll? I said, please don't. My heart's already doing jazz. Inside, Grandpa's watch, a photo of Grandma holding a fish bigger than my confidence, and a manila envelope with my name in ink that could cut glass. I opened it like it might hiss. First page. Original will, notarized, stamped, labeled 10 different ways that scream, I dare you to edit me. It said what Grandma had said. House to me, rest split. Then a notarized codicil, signed later, reaffirming the house transfer. Grandma basically printed don't get cute on a legal form. On top, a sticky note in her handwriting. If they push you, call Fisher at the bank. I looked at Fisher. She raised an eyebrow so elegant it could file motions. Consider me called, she said, and tucked the note into a plastic sleeve like it deserved climate control. There was more. A folded letter from Fisher's file, months old, documenting a prior concern about Aunt Valerie pressuring staff over a convenience signer situation for Grandpa. Dates, branch, attempted forms rejected. Grandma had lodged the complaint herself, wearing her church cardigan and the patience of a saint with a stopwatch. The timeline just put on handcuffs. I photographed everything twice, scanned it once, and made 3 copies like an anxious octopus. Fisher notarized my copies, logged the chain, and whispered to the vault, stay humble. The vault took it personally. On the way out, I asked, what's the form for when your aunt tries to upgrade from coffee thief to estate pirate? Fisher said, the oh honey no packet. We already printed it. At home, I laid the will, codicil, and sticky note on the table next to my printer.constellation, router poems, and orchid glamour shots. My kitchen looked like a Pinterest board for litigation chic. I could hear Grandma's voice in my head, exactly how she'd say it. Sweetheart, you can be nice or you can be thorough. Only one gets your house back. I called Mom. I gave her a chance. Hey, I said, quick check. Do you remember Grandma's codicil? Long pause. I don't think so, she said, in the tone you use when the dog definitely knows what it did. I said, it's okay. The notary remembered for you. She muttered something about misunderstandings. I said, you brought orchids to mind. I wrote 2 new labels for the evidence folder. Exhibit D1, Original Will. Exhibit D2, Codicil, Reaffirming House Transfer. Exhibit D3, Grandma Sticky Note / Fisher Referral. Exhibit D4, Fisher Prior Complaint Letter, Pressure Attempt. Then I added a petty subtitle, Grandma, Still the CEO. For flair, I printed the sticky note on a separate page, full bleed, like a poster. If they push you, call Fisher. I held it up to the fridge. She dinged like applause. The thermostat flashed a leaf. The router burped a tiny packet in agreement. My house is a supportive audience with receipts. Before bed, I tucked 1 copy of everything into a fireproof pouch and slid it under the safe floor panel Grandpa had installed in the 70s, right next to a screwdriver he labeled for liars. I swear it winked. At 2 a.m., I woke up laughing. Not normal, but this was. For months, they tried to turn my quiet into a loophole. Turns out I inherited a louder thing, Grandma's paperwork. The kind that doesn't argue. It instructs. Tomorrow, when I walk into their open house, I won't just have router logs and lemon bowls. I'll have Grandma's ink. And her note, which reads like a prophecy, taped to my folder like a front row ticket. I turned off the kitchen light. The fridge whispered, good night, with a soft compressor sigh. I whispered back, we bring Grandma tomorrow. She hummed. The house slept. I didn't. I was too busy smiling in legal. The open house ambush. I parked 2 houses down like I was casing my own life. Doorbell cam already streaming. Aunt Valerie waddled into frame, hauling a tote of stagers' throws like pillows could wipe a felony. Behind her, Chloe floated in a hat so wide it had weather. The realtor pushed the door like she owned hinges. My house watched them enter and whispered to me in 108p, "Showtime." I waited until the first pair of buyers stepped in, oohing at my original hardwoods that were absolutely laminate with confidence. Then I walked, folder under my arm, lawyer at my 6, petty in my pocket like lip balm. The realtor turned and pasted on a smile that smelled like commission. "Hi there, we're under court," I said, and handed her the temporary restraining order. "We'll start with you reading this out loud in a clear voice for the class." Her smile died of natural causes. She scanned, gulped, tried to pivot. "We're actually under contract." "Buddy," I said, "you're under court." I pointed at the line that said, "Suspend all showings." That means stop being festive and start being elsewhere. Aunt Valerie tried to slip between us, clutching orchids like a white flag with roots. "We can explain." "You already did," I said, tapping the orchids. "Exhibit A1. Lovely, unnecessary, and paid for with a check that's coming home." Chloe put on a sad face from her influencer starter kit. "You didn't have to make this public." "Oh, that's adorable," I said. "You made it public when you hired a photographer to post my hallway as cozy modern." I raised my voice for the buyers, who were peeling toward the exit like cautious goats. "Folks, this showing is canceled. The listing is withdrawn. There is no valid seller. But if you want to see something neat, look at this doorbell still of my cousin stealing my game console during staging. Look at him. A natural." Cousin Nick froze by the kitchen, holding a throw pillow like a hostage. I was putting it back. "Into your car?" I asked. Bold put-back strategy. The realtor's phone started buzzing like a nest of bees. She whispered, "I'm calling my broker." "Tell your broker to bring a charcuterie board. We're serving lawsuits," I said. Then to the room, lockbox off. "Now." I held up the order. "Court says now," and I speak fluent Times New Roman. The buyers slipped out with little embarrassed waves. Neighbors clucked from the sidewalk, eyes big as lemons. Mom appeared from the hallway like she'd taken the wrong turn in a maze. She reached for me with a smile I knew from every "we meant well" catastrophe. "Can we talk privately?" "In a minute," I said, and pointed to the lockbox. "Keys. Off." The realtor fumbled, unclipped, and handed it over like a confiscated toy. I dropped it into my tote, the one labeled receipts. The doorbell chimed a happy ding like it wanted an encore. "Okay," I said. "Reading time." I planted myself at the kitchen island they'd staged with bread I don't eat. "This order freezes transfers, suspends showings, and preserves every device you use to rehearse this mess. If a single photo goes live, if a single doc disappears, it will be your second worst day." Chloe sniffed. "What's the first?" "When the bank calls," I said. "Spoiler, they're already on hold with me in their lobby." Aunt Valerie tried to regroup. "We weren't stealing. We were protecting family equity. By listing my house under a shell that lives in a P.O. box I pay for." I flipped a page. "Golden Leaf, Cedar Bridge, Nick's name like glitter." Nick set the pillow down like it might testify. "It's not what it looks like. It looks like a group chat titled Open House Checklist." I slid a printed screenshot across the counter. Everyone leaned in. Everyone died a little. The doorbell rang again. Process server. Chef's kiss. He stepped in with a smile that belonged on a parade float and held out envelopes like communion. "For you, for you, for you," he said, distributing service to Valerie, to Chloe, to Mom, to the realtor, to Nick, who tried to hide behind an orchid. "Nice flowers," the server added. Shame. The room hushed like a church that just learned about microphones. I cleared my throat. Final housekeeping. Devices on the counter, face down. I held up the order again. "Preservation is not a suggestion. Valerie, your office jet is invited too. She's a star witness." Chloe crossed her arms. "You can't speak to us like we're criminals." "Then stop auditioning," I said. "We're done here. Everyone out." Neighbors dispersed like gossip on a breeze. The buyers were already in their SUV Googling, "What is TRO and why is that man smiling?" The realtor shuffled to the door, muttering about E&O insurance. Aunt Valerie lingered long enough to touch the orchids like they could write affidavits. "You don't have to be cruel," she said. I looked at my fridge. She hummed. "I'm not," I said. I'm thorough. They filed out in a clatter of bracelets and bad alibis. The door clicked. The house exhaled. The thermostat flashed 68 with the smugness of a cat that caught a laser pointer. I propped the lockbox on the counter, patted the stainless, and whispered, "You were great." My phone vibrated. Fisher, compliance hero. "Preservation order confirmed," she said. "We're freezing Elmwell, Cedar Bridge, and any account nicknamed BP Trust. Also, footage from your branch last month shows an after-hours notary kit cameo." "Music," I said. "I'll bring muffins." "One more thing," Fisher added, and I could hear Papers smile. "Your aunt tried to use post-termination credentials at a kiosk. I'll save you a seat." I grinned into the empty kitchen. "I'm on my way." Then I grabbed the folder, the lockbox, and my petty. I left the orchids in the sink where they belonged, turned the jazz playlist off, and let the doorbell record my exit at a very respectful 24 frames per second. Bank day, reversals and SARs. I walked into the bank like I'd brought subpoena-flavored donuts. Fisher waved me back with the energy of a librarian who collects scalps. Binder open. Preservation order on top. She slid it across the glass with a smile that said, "Winter is here." "Ready?" she asked. "Been ready since the lemon bowl," I said. She tapped her keyboard. "Freezing Elmwell." Click. "Freezing Cedar Bridge." Click. "Freezing anything nicknamed BP Trust." Triple click, dramatic pause. End. Done. Financial enter. Somewhere an orchid wilted. She spun the monitor. "Watch this." Access logs popped up. Timestamps, terminals, user IDs. One line glowed like gossip. "See that? Post-termination credentials. Your aunt's old profile slipped through deactivation. Used at the lobby kiosk after hours." I leaned in. "Say hi to Cot." "Hi, Cot," she said, deadpan, and opened the reversal queue. "We're clawing back the staging carousel first. Line 1, $12,400. Memo. Staging. Reversal reason. Improper elder risk/unlawful access." She clicked submit. The number snapped back into the estate like a pigeon with guilt. We kept going. $6,300 cleaner. $3,950 flowers. $4,200 marketing. Marketing apparently means my cousin's tank of gas and a chewing gum. One by one, they flapped home. The balance ticked up like a polite slot machine. I filmed the screen for my lawyer. Silent, respectful, sexy. Fisher didn't blink. "Keep it steady. Auditors get carsick." An auditor poked his head in. "Footage is loaded. Backdoor entry. Notary kit sighting." Fisher arched an eyebrow. "Witchcraft with a stamp." I grinned. "Add that to the museum." She opened a second tab. ATM clusters. A pretty staircase of $9,900, $4,950, $7,800 winked at us like a raccoon. Flagging as structuring indicators. We can't reverse cash already dispensed, but we can bundle it for the SAR. "The acronyms will be angry," I said. "They already filed HR complaints," she replied, and started the SAR draft. Subjects: Valerie, Nicholas, Associated Shell Entities, Elmwell Holdings, Cedar Bridge Trust. Indicators: structured cash, shell layering, unauthorized access, elder abuse risk, attempted real estate fraud. She typed like a stenographer at a barbecue. I watched the cursor bully the page. The branch manager slid in, nervous smile, tie with regret. Hi. Just checking? Anything I can do to help?" Fisher didn't look up. "Yes. Deactivate orphan credentials today. Pull kiosk cam from the date in the log, and bring me the notary register." He gulped. "Right away." He left so fast his name badge needed a seatbelt. Fisher pulled up footage. Blurry, but tasty. Door buzzer. Manager's side door. Aunt Valerie shuffling in with a tote. Notary kit box on the credenza. The camera angle caught the model brand. The same brand on Aunt's receipt from her trash can. Chef's kiss. "Your trash archaeology is paying dividends," Fisher said. "America runs on recycling," I said. She went back to reversals. A $25,000 wire labeled Earnest Money, ELM, sat like a smug cat. "Here we go," she murmured. Click. The money hopped backward into the estate account and curled up under a compliance blanket. I exhaled. That one tasted like lemon. We paused at a $100 charge labeled Deep Clean. Fisher squinted. Vendor? I read the recipient. Prepaid card ending 4432. She typed. Loaded at kiosk. Same day as your aunt's visit. Neat loop. She flagged it. Then added to the SAR. Instrumentalities. Prepaid loads post-preservation. My phone buzzed. Family chat. Mom, we're at the bank. Cards aren't working. Chloe, is this legal? Nick, why did the machine say contact compliance? Is that a person? I put my phone face down so my laugh didn't file a noise complaint. The teller supervisor brought the notary register. Fisher flipped to the month with the shadows. Blank entries on the suspect date. No notarizations logged, she said. That'll sing. Backup vocalist for printer dots? I said. Right on cue, the examiner pinged me. Dot pattern you sent matches HP X420 family. Likely 2 units, primary and replaced drum. I slid the phone to Fisher. She nodded. We'll mirror it in our memo. We resumed the pigeon parade. Another $8,750 marketing retainer yo-yoed home. The estate account balance looked like it had eaten a spinach smoothie. Fisher printed the reversal confirmations with a stamp you could hear. Thunk. 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 The manager reappeared holding a thumb drive like it was radioactive. Kiosk footage copied. Chain of custody started. He glanced at me. Also, Ms. Valerie is in the lobby asking why her card is frozen. Fisher smiled with all her teeth. Tell her Winter. He vanished. She clicked Submit SAR. The form slid into federal heaven. Filed, she said. The acronyms are now caffeinated. I clapped once, softly. To recap, freezes in place, reversals done, ATM clusters flagged, SAR filed, credentials deactivated, footage preserved, and policy changes rolling, she added, opening another doc. No more legacy profiles. No nickname fields that mimic trust products. Independent callouts to listed counsel before accepting any POA on elderly accounts. Grandma would knit you a trophy, I said. Make it a muffin, she replied. We stood. She handed me a packet. Reversal receipts, freeze notice, preservation acknowledgments. Court will love these. As we walked out, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number, I answered. Aunt Valerie hissed, You can't do this. I kept walking. We didn't. The court did. The bank complied. Your orchids are on their own, she sputtered. I hung up before she could monologue. Outside, the sun looked brighter, like it had a money-back guarantee. I called my lawyer. Pigeons returned. SAR angry. Footage singing. We're set. He said, Bring it tomorrow. Judge likes breakfast receipts. I looked back through the glass. Fisher raised her coffee in a little salute. I raised my folder. My fridge would be proud. The router would gossip. The thermostat would hold 68 like a promise. And my family? They'd learn a new word today. Reverse court. Preliminary hearing. Court mornings taste like dry mouth and printer toner. My lawyer whispered, Keep it boring. I said, Boring is my superpower. Across the aisle, Aunt Valerie adjusted her pearls like they were legal counsel. Chloe wore courtroom neutrals, which on her read, Sad Influencer. Nick looked like a man who Googled how to look innocent and lost. Judge enters. Boom. We stand. We sit. My lawyer nods. I step up with Exhibit A like I'm Vanna White at NerdCon. Your Honor, Exhibit A, my house testifying. I click the screen. Doorbell still of Valerie hauling orchids. Router session logs with Val MVP screaming in Comic Sans in my soul. Smart lock entries, 1:02 a.m., Mom, 1:17 p.m., Mom. Thermostat graph flipping to eco when their phones arrive like raccoons with data plans. These devices don't do drama, I say. They do timestamps. The judge leans forward. And the fridge? I smile. Your Honor, the fridge provided EXIF metadata. Upload device, Valerie's iPhone, listing ID, GPS coordinates, my kitchen. She's extremely judgmental. A polite chuckle floats. Valerie glares at stainless steel in general. Exhibit B, I continue. And the projector throws up yellow confetti like a very niche party. Printer Freckles. We matched the microdot constellation on the listing packet to Aunt Valerie's office jet model. Same family, same spacing. Instagram even gave us the serial peek from her boss babe office post. I tapped the overlay. 2 document batches, same pattern family. The report and the wires printed, scanned, re-exported. People lie. Printer dots don't. Opposing counsel stands smooth as a marshmallow in a suit. Physiological variation can affect output. This is speculative. I shrug. That's why we brought the bank. Exhibit C, I say. And the staircase of $9,900, $4,950, $7,800 climbs the screen like regret. Structured withdrawals under thresholds, Zells to @Nick buys sneakers, with memos, flowers, and cleaner, cashier's checks for staging, and a $25,000 earnest wire into Elmwell Holdings, which immediately yo-yoed to Cedarbridge. The bank has reversed the reversible and filed the SAR. Preservation orders served. The judge nods to the clerk. Noted. Opposing counsel tries a pivot. Family reimbursements aren't fraud. I tilt my head. True. Unless you reimburse yourself for crimes, then they're spicy. Exhibit D, I say, softer now, like grandma's in the room. Original will. Notarized codicil reaffirming the house to me. The sticky note. If they push you, call Fisher. The prior complaint letter about Valerie's pressure at the branch. I let them breathe on the screen because ink speaks louder than me. The judge studies the codicil. Interesting handwriting. Steady, I say. Unlike today. Opposing counsel objects. Hearsay on the complaint. My lawyer. Business records exception. Judge. Admitted for preservation context. I add one more tile. And we have a voicemail, Your Honor. Grandpa, they're pushing forms. I won't sign. The judge waves it off for argument today, but nods like he's filing it in his head. The judge steeples. Counsel for respondents? Opposing counsel clears his throat. This was a misunderstanding. My client sought stability. Emotions ran high. I raise a finger. They staged an open house. He glares. Alleged. I click again. Buyers in my hallway, whispering, original hardwoods. Alleged, I repeat, deadpan. The courtroom enjoys that joke. Judge turns to me. What relief? Extended freezes on Elmwell, Cedarbridge, and any estate-linked shells. Preservation of all devices, phones, printers, laptops, branch footage, access logs, kiosk video preserved and produced. Lockbox keys returned. No further showings, listings, or asset movement. Contempt warnings baked in. Valerie whispers to her lawyer. Probably. Can orchids be evidence? Judge taps notes. Granted. Extended freeze. Preservation order as proposed with production deadlines. He eyes opposing counsel. I will not tolerate spoliation. This is not TikTok. I look at Chloe. She blinks in cursive. We pivot to returns. My lawyer hands up bank reversal confirmations like adoption papers. Judge nods. Receipts received. He loves alliteration. I can tell. Opposing counsel makes one last swing. We propose a buyout, a fair payment to end this without further court involvement. The judge squints. Source of funds? Counsel coughs. A family company. I raise my hand. Your Honor, they mean a frozen shell. Ask me how I know. I hold up the bank's freeze notice like a tiny snowflake. The judge almost smiles. Denied, he says. Do not insult the court. Valerie exhale hisses. Nick mutters something about witch hunt to the floor. The floor does not respond. The judge signs orders with a pen that sounds like thunder. Keys returned today. Access revoked today. Production within 10 days. Any interference, contempt. We stand to leave. Outside, opposing counsel intercepts us with the smile of a man, holding wet cardboard. We can still make this go away. I tilt my head. Then bring a time machine. He pushes an envelope across. Our buyout offer. I peek. It's a check. From Elmwell. The frozen one. I facepalm so hard my palm files a complaint. I hand it back like a hot potato of stupidity. You just tendered Exhibit E. My lawyer slides a restitution memo across instead. Initial here to acknowledge shell control, staged sales, and agreement to repay improper transfers. Valerie sputters. Nick sweats. Mom starts crying quiet church tears. Chloe looks for a ring light that isn't there. They sign like people whose future calendars just got very full. I countersign received, and my pen grins. I call Grandma in my head. We did it. She says, keep it honest. The fridge would ding here. The judge would smirk. The thermostat would hold 68 like a promise. Next stop, consequences. The buyout meeting and the trap. We met at a neutral spot that smelled like burnt coffee and denial. Conference room, glass walls, fake fig tree, a speakerphone that looked exhausted. My lawyer sat beside me like calm thunder. I set my folder on the table so the tabs could breathe. Grandma's sticky note rode on top like a crown. Aunt Valerie slid in first, clutching a tote bag that had definitely transported crimes. Chloe followed in influencer beige, eyes glossy with, be nice to me. Mom arrived last, clutching tissues like a prop. Nick lagged, already sweating through topsoil. Aunt Valerie put an envelope down like she was laying a golden egg. We want to end this with family dignity, she said. I opened the envelope, peeked, closed it, and handed it back. The check is drawn on Elmwell, I said. The account that's frozen. Does your comedy tour do 2 shows nightly or just matinees? Chloe leaned forward. It's symbolic. Symbolic of what? I asked, bouncing. My lawyer slid a single-page memo across the table. Clean fonts, mean margins. Here are terms for restitution, he said. You'll initial each paragraph to acknowledge facts and obligations. Nick squinted. What does acknowledge mean? It means read with your grown-up eyes, I said. Aunt Valerie sniffed. We don't have to sign anything. You don't, I said, cheerful. You can also continue auditioning for Contempt, the musical. Mom dabbed her eyes. We're family. I pointed to the memo. Then treat me like one. Start with honesty. Valerie flipped the page. Paragraph 1. Parties acknowledge control of Elmwell Holdings, LLC, and Cedarbridge Trust. She bristled. We didn't control. My lawyer tapped the bullet below. Signatures, filings, your office jet Freckles. Initial. Chloe reached for a pen like she was endorsing a brand partnership. Her hand shook. She initialed. Nick followed, pen squeaking like his ethics. Paragraph 2. Parties acknowledge staged sale attempts using owner's property without consent. Valerie huffed. We had consent in spirit. Spirit's not on the deed, I said. Initial. They initialed. Paragraph 3. Parties acknowledge misdirection of estate funds to personal accounts, prepaid instruments, and shell entities. Mom looked at me carefully. We were just consolidating. Consolidating into Yeezys? I asked. Initial. They initialed. Paragraph 4. Parties agreed to repay listed sums in full, plus bank fees, plus examiner costs by schedule attached. Nick tapped the schedule. These dates are aggressive. So were the ATM withdrawals, I said. Initial. Paragraph 5. Parties consent to device imaging and production of documents, including Valerie office jet hardware. Valerie clutched her tote like a life jacket. That's my personal device. It's also Exhibit B, I said. Say hi to the Freckles. Initial. She initialed so hard the paper dented. Paragraph 6. Parties acknowledge the bank's reversals as correct and waive objections. Chloe glanced at her phone like it might save her. It didn't. She initialed. Paragraph 7. Parties acknowledge using post-termination bank credentials at a kiosk. Valerie swallowed. That was the manager's mistake. Which part? I asked. The letting you in or the not making popcorn? I tapped the line. Initial. She initialed. Tiny and angry. My lawyer flipped the page. Hidden clause time. My favorite. Paragraph 8. Parties acknowledge that any future transfer attempts, showings, listings, or asset movement without written consent will be evidence of willful violation and referred to authorities. Nick raised a hand like he was in a class he skipped. What if it's just a harmless listing? Then list a diary, I said. Initial. Paragraph 9. Parties admit that the buyout check presented today is drawn on a frozen shell and not valid consideration. Chloe squinted. Do we have to write that? Please, I said. For the scrapbook. They initialed. Pen scratched. Shame lingered like canned tuna. My lawyer slid signature lines forward. Final signatures confirmed the whole document. Valerie gripped the pen like a sword. You're humiliating us. You staged my house, I said. I'm just improving lighting. She signed. Chloe signed, lower lip quivering like her Wi-Fi. Mom signed with a sigh that smelled like, I should have said something. Nick signed last, hand hovering. Can I just apologize? I blinked. Is it in ink? He nodded, and for a tiny second, he looked 12. He signed. I countersigned, wrote, received, dated it, and slid copies their way. You'll each get a PDF, I said. One for the cloud, one for your lawyer, one for your fridge, if it ever grows a spine. Chloe tried one more angle. Can't we move forward? We are, I said. You're moving forward with repayment. I'm moving forward with peace. We both get cardio. Valerie reached back into her tote and pulled out the check again, like persistence could thaw funds. We really meant well, I pointed to the memo. Now you mean well in writing. Mom studied the glass wall, eyes shiny. Is there any way we can fix how this looks? Absolutely, I said. Do good things, quietly, for a long time. Nick stood, chair squeaking like a confession. So, we're not going to jail, right? Not today, I said. Today is signatures. Tomorrow is grown-up choices. My lawyer gathered the originals like rare stamps. Thank you for your cooperation, he said, which is lawyer for, please stop breathing on my exhibits. We shook no hands. We escorted no one. They filed out soft and weird. The door hissed shut with a noise I call consequence. My phone buzzed. Text from Fisher. Got your memo? Achievements unlocked. SAR amended with admissions. See you at the training you promised. I grinned. I texted back a muffin emoji and a leaf. Then I patted the folder, felt Grandma's sticky through the cover, and heard her voice again. Keep it honest. I looked at the ceiling tile like it could ding. In my head, the fridge did. Fallout. Public, financial, permanent. The morning after signatures, my phone woke up like it had 8 espressos and a grudge. First ping. The realtor's license status moved to suspended pending review. I did not clap. My fridge did it for me. She dinged 3 times like a microwave with morals. Aunt Valerie posted her brave face on Facebook. Resigning to focus on family time. Translation. Time to Google white-collar defense near me. Comments from her book club. So proud of you, Queen. I resisted the urge to reply with printer Freckles. Growth. Cousin Nick updated LinkedIn. Exploring new opportunities. Buddy, the only opportunity you're exploring is where to return my game console. He also changed his handle from @NickBuysSneakers to @NickDoesTaxes. Sir, you are the reason taxes cry. Chloe tried a soft focus story. Sometimes hard seasons prune us. No mention of orchids. I reposted with a sticker that said, Botany. Meanwhile, filings dropped like confetti. Elmwell dissolved. Cedar Bridge retired from pretending. The State Archive locked every document with a little padlock icon that whispered, forever. I poured coffee, scrolled the registry, and whispered back, forever, ever. The neighborhood went full podcast. Every walk had whispers. Did you hear the fridge story? Which fridge? The fridge. I took the trash out and 3 different neighbors pretended to adjust their sprinklers just to wave at the legend appliance. The fridge preened, or maybe that was me in the reflection. At the bank, Fisher sent a policy email so polite it cut glass. Unique credentials only. No nickname fields that mimic trust products. Independent counsel call-outs before any POA on elderly accounts. Mandatory training module titled, Orchids Are Not Evidence. I printed it and framed the subject line. Compliance as art. Then came the apology tour. Tiny. Unearned. Mom started with a soft knock and a Tupperware I did, in fact, keep. We were scared, she said. We thought we'd lose everything. I said, you almost did, including me. She looked at my fridge like it might translate. I softened, a little. There's a repayment plan. Keep it. She nodded. We stood in quiet, the kind that isn't fixed, but isn't broken. I call that progress, or duct tape. Grandma's fire fund? We topped it up with restitution pennies. The bank matched because PR wears khakis. The volunteer chief cried. He hugged me like a hydrant. The fridge dinged from home. She's sentimental now. We all grow. The realtor's broker sent me a box of apology pastries. I ate the croissant labeled mea culpa and considered forgiving gluten. The broker also sent their E&O carrier my timeline. That timeline is career ending in 12 states in 2 moods, bored and petty. Public receipts kept stacking. The county clerk mailed me a certified withdrawn listing letter printed on paper that smelled like victory. I taped it inside a cabinet door like a swear jar for fraud. Every time I reached for cumin, I saw it and smiled. Justice tastes like tacos. Nick DM'd me a long paragraph that read like it lost its map in the middle. I'm trying, he wrote. I got a job at the warehouse. I can drop cash early. I told him, pay the plan, show up on time, stop buying shoes that cost like rent. He replied with a thumbs up, then a second thumbs up because growth is 2 thumbs tall. Aunt Valerie texted something that began, my lawyer says. I muted it, then forwarded the whole thread to my folder labeled, please no. My boundaries are laminated now. Then the weirdest day, the HOA president rang my bell. We heard rumors, she said, eyes huge, clipboard ready. I said, we don't discuss ongoing miracles. She nodded solemnly, wrote down miracles, and left a flyer about the block party. It had a potluck list. I volunteered lemons. Felt right. By Friday, my house had fan mail. Someone left a card addressed to the fridge. Inside, you saved a home. Get that girl a magnet. I stuck it next to Grandma's sticky note reprint. The stainless gleamed. I swear she blushed. The best part? Quiet. No showings. No jazz playlist at 2 p.m. No laminate impersonating hardwood and strangers' compliments. I took a nap on my actual couch with my actual game console humming its little warranty hymn. Peace sounded like the HVAC at 68, and my own breath, not counting ATM staircases. I installed new locks that bite toes. Not literally, but if you try a code not on my list, my doorbell plays gavel sounds. Petty? Strategic? Both. At church, an older guy shook my hand and said, you kept it honest. He didn't say like your grandma, but I heard it anyway. I went home, opened the safe, touched the pin she left, and let my shoulders drop. That pin weighs less than a lemon and more than a house. We threw a tiny cookout. Just the good neighbors. No orchids. Everyone brought something that didn't need captions. Beans, buns, a pie that could negotiate treaties. Someone asked if the fridge would speak. I tapped the door. She dinged. Everyone cheered. Fame is weird. On Monday, I started consulting for Fisher's team. 1 afternoon a week. I call it muffins and fraud. I stand in a glass room and say sentences like, if someone loves the word stability, ask their printer. New analysts nod, take notes, then go disable a nickname field that thinks it's a trust. The last cherry. A letter from the court. Orders satisfied to date. Continued compliance expected. I kissed the envelope. The fridge dinged. The thermostat flexed a tiny leaf. The router pulsed like a heartbeat. And my family? Public, financial, permanent. They live in a world with fewer swipe attempts and more receipts. They pass me like a caution sign, and sometimes they wave. I wave back. Civil isn't soft. It's safe. My house is famous. My fridge is a local celebrity. And me? I'm the guy who chose boring and won loud. Rebuild. Boundaries and better systems. Day 1 of peace. I sat my house down like a team meeting. Agenda. Boundaries. Deliverables. Fewer raccoons and cardigans. Systems first. New estate council. Bi-weekly audits. Alerts on every account and device. Paranoia, but make it policy. My phone now dings only for love, fraud, or pizza. Everything else can send an email and wait its turn like a civilized liar. Access got a makeover. No more master codes. Guest-only profiles with expiration dates that vanish at midnight like bad decisions. Every unlock pushes a log to cold storage in a place that sounds like a hiking trail but is actually a server in Iowa. If you sneeze near my deadbolt, I get a transcript. Router rules change too. Separate VLANs. Family, guests, and the new suspicious cousin network that throttles itself to dial up if it smells airdrop. The SSID literally says, please don't. My Wi-Fi has boundaries and sarcasm now. Honestly, a role model. Cameras? Fine-tuned. Smart zones that ignore squirrels and laser focus on man with tote full of audacity. All clips, auto-hash, timestamp, and replicate to offsite like tiny legal twins. I named the retention policy Orchid Season. I gave my doorbell tenure. If you press it without an invite, it plays courtroom ambience and emails you a PDF titled, "Welcome to Consequences." The doorbell is thriving. Inside, I built a mini SOC. Not a panic room, more like a calm room with spreadsheets and snacks. Big monitor, labeled drives, a scanner that sings when it catches microdots, and a whiteboard that says, "Trust is great, proof is better." This is where I drink coffee and judge crimes in pajamas. Communication diet next. Family chat muted. Lawyer-only channel for estate business, with rules like no emojis before noon and attach receipts or hold your peace. Mom gets a weekly check-in. Kind, brief, boundaried. Chloe gets silence unless it's about repayment. Nick gets a template reply. On schedule? Good. Keep it up. It's a choose-your-own responsibility adventure. Vendors got the memo. Contracts in writing. W-9s on file. Nobody gets prepaid anything, ever. My plumber tried. I'll swing by and we'll figure it out. I said, "Invoice, Gary." He sent one. We're in love now. I purged keys like a sad magician. Every metal duplicate labeled, cataloged, reissued. If I hand you a key, you also get a photo, a signed receipt, and a look that says, "I know where you live because this is where you are." People suddenly return keys early. Fascinating. The fridge got a promotion to VP of Calendar and Petty. She runs a shared board called Not Today, Satan. Items include meter reads, warranty checks, and throw out any lemon bowls that trigger you. She dings like a tiny HR department. The thermostat? She's our CFO. Auto schedules. Geofencing strict enough to spot a cousin at 50 paces. If a phone that isn't whitelisted crosses the bubble, she flips to audit mode and texts me, "Gremlin detected." I reply with a leaf emoji. We understand each other. I added a house guest form. It's cute. Arrival time? Who invited you? What you're bringing? That isn't a shell company. If you hesitate on question 3, the porch light turns magenta. Not dangerous, just embarrassing. Then I clean the digital junk drawer. Old passwords retired like suspicious uncles. Passphrases now read like grandma shade. Example, Valerie does not get the Wi-Fi 1. Two-factor everywhere, but fun. My authenticator app is named Nope. I rebuilt pleasure too. Quiet mornings, loud birds, coffee at 68. The temperature of victory. I take the long route to the mailbox because the neighbors ask the fridge for autographs, and she deserves it. Sometimes I high-five the doorframe. House pride is free. Sundays are for muffins and fraud. I pop into Fisher's training and deliver a tight 15 on printer Freckles. When someone says stability, I tell them, ask to meet their office jet. The interns gasp. It's adorable. They leave and disable nickname fields like superheroes. I set my reminders, quarterly safe checks, yearly doc scans, Grandma's sticky day, where I read her note aloud. If they push you, call Fisher. It's a holiday now. We celebrate with lemon bars. Reclaim the citrus. Every boundary is boring on purpose. Boring saves you from interesting disasters. Interesting is for vacations, bowling shoes, and whatever my neighbor does with his drone at sunset. My house is smarter than my family. Low bar. Proud leap. At night, I pat the stainless, watch the router blink, and let the thermostat tuck us in with a leaf. The house hums like a promise. I lock the door and hear the gavel chime once. Soft. Petty? Strategic. Fine line. I painted it on the floor. Peace doesn't ask for applause. It wants habits. So I keep mine. Check logs. Water plants. Rotate passwords. Text mama heart. Eat tacos. Sleep 8. Repeat. The system holds. The house holds me back. And if anyone tries a sequel, cool. I kept the museum. My smart fridge calendar now says, family dinner by invite. Translation. Bring a side dish, not a shell company. The lock chimes once like a tiny judge. The thermostat flexes a leaf, and I pour coffee at 68 with zero drama. If tech exposing liars is your love language, subscribe. I'm dropping the full nerd series, printer dots, IP logs, reversing money mid-flight. Drop your smart home detective wins below. I'm turning the best into case studies.